Boxing fans love an argument they can take to the barbershop, the group chat, and the comment section. And right now, there isn't a bigger flashpoint than this. Can Terrence Bud Crawford really beat Saul Canelo Alvarez at super middleweight? The answer depends on which part of the sport you listen to. The purists pointing to skill and ring craft, the pragmatists pointing to physics and weight classes, the legends who've learned to trust their gut, and the fighters who see the tells the rest of us miss. What's clear is this. The buildup has turned into one of the most passionate debates boxing has seen in years. Pound for pound lists, size versus skill, walk-around weight, pay-per-view math. Every angle is on the table. You don't have to listen long before you hear the conviction in the Crawford camp. He ain't getting knocked out, one voice insists. The challenge comes back fast. Where's the evidence? Because if you think he's light in the backside, as critics like to put it, that settles nothing against a champion with Canelo's leverage and power. Give me a number. Someone asks. Bernard Hopkins gives one, 85%. It's not a figure pulled from thin air. It's a vote of confidence from a Hall of Famer who built his legacy on craft, strategy, and making bigger men fight his fight. Usyk sounds the alarm. Canelo is making a mistake. When Oleksandr Usyk speaks, people listen. Not because he's loud, but because he's precise. The undisputed heavyweight champion has a unique lens. He outboxed giants by solving problems with his feet and his brain. Asked about Canelo Alvarez accepting a fight against Terrence Crawford, Usyk didn't hedge. He called a mistake for Canelo and placed Crawford at the very top of the sport, calling him the current #1 pound-for-pound boxer. To Usyk, Crawford is operating on a different wavelength. Too sharp, too adaptable, too comfortable at solving puzzles most fighters can't handle. You could dismiss that as respect between masters, but echoes a chorus growing louder among technicians. Crawford isn't just talented. He's built to neutralize a fighter like Canelo. Crawford's mindset. No excuses, no rematch clause, no weight tricks. Listen to Terrence Crawford himself, and the tone is as deliberate as his footwork. He's not interested in escape hatches. No rematch clause. No catch weight. No rehydration restrictions. If the public is going to judge this, if boxing history is going to judge it, Crawford wants a verdict to be clear. I want him at his best. He said when asked why he didn't include the kinds of provisions many smaller men insist on when facing a bigger champion. I don't want excuses. I want him at his best. That kind of confidence isn't bluster for Crawford. It's ritual. He's the rare fighter who truly believes outcomes are decided in preparation long before a ring walk. Rate me however you want, he said when challengers and pundits started talking. We still got to fight, and I'm going to win. People around him hear the same thing in the gym every day. No shortcuts, no hedging, no leaning on outside advantages. It's simple, almost old-fashioned. Bring the best version of yourself and force the other man to meet you there. A coach's warning. Guts and a fighting spirit you can't train. Crawford's inner circle has been just as blunt. One long-time voice around him boiled it down to hunger and nerve. Crawford got guts, he said. Those other bums didn't want to win. Crawford wants to win. He's got a fighting spirit. In that view, this isn't about belts or bargaining chips. It's about walking forward into a man like Canelo Alvarez and forcing him to respect what's coming back. You can't beat Canelo on the back foot forever, he added. You gotta go get him. Expect Crawford to go get him. That doesn't mean rushing recklessly. It means setting your feet when you have to, owning the center when it's there, and making a bigger man reset over and over. If you follow Crawford since junior welterweight, you've seen him do that with switch stance trickery, time counters, and suffocating pace. The test now is whether that style scales up against a super middleweight whose base is likely to be stronger and whose shots will carry different thump. Jarrell Miller. Hunger wins close fights. Jarrell Miller isn't alone among heavyweights in his read. He sees something that has nothing to do with CompuBox stats or poundage. He sees hunger, and he believes it lives more violently in Crawford right now. People are underestimating his strength and his size, Miller said. To him, Canelo is a champion who's already eaten. The titles, the fame, the money. Crawford is still chasing an all-time legacy. When you need a fighter to suffer longer in camp, to prepare harder without applause, to focus deeper on the 1,000 little choices that become a game plan, Hunger drives the work. Miller likes both men. He picks Crawford because he believes this is the moment Terrence refuses to let slip. Bernard Hopkins is 85%. Why the execution believes. When Hopkins says 85%, he's not saying Canelo is washed or that Crawford is Superman. He's saying he recognizes a mentality and a plan that travel across divisions. He's not going in there to prove something, Hopkins said. In other words, Crawford isn't going to stand in front of the redhead and try to show the world he's tough. Canelo would love that catch counter and break you down. Hopkins believes Crawford would do the smarter thing, establish early that he belongs, without volunteering unnecessary exchanges. Show him in the first round, Hopkins said, that you belong without showing that you're tough. Then, the part only a fighter truly understands, you have to make a stubborn champion acknowledge reality. He ain't going to surrender and say he slowed up, Hopkins added. He has to be shown, and it has to be early. Those are the words of a man who made a living making young lions feel old. Tim Bradley's blueprint. If Skull can slow him, what can Bud do? Timothy Bradley, the former champion turned analyst, cut right to the evidence you can touch. He pointed to William Skull's performance, where Canelo threw just 152 punches across 12 rounds, a career low for a prime redhead who often outworks men late. If Skull can keep him to 152 total punches, Bradley asked, "You don't think Crawford can go the distance? You don't think the most skillful fighter on earth can make it boring if he has to?" Bradley reminded viewers that Jermel Charlo, a 154-pounder, moved up to 168 and went 12 with Canelo. Respect to Charlo's skills, he said, but he doesn't have the Crawford toolkit. Bradley's point isn't that Canelo is diminished beyond saving. It's that skills and ring IQ can smother even a great champion's strengths and force him to throw less, reach more, and get ticked off at a target he can't find. That's prime Crawford territory. Sparring stories and Philly truth. Boots Ennis won't decide this. A side story blew up online when it was reported that Jaron Boots Ennis had shared rounds with Canelo in the lead-up to this fight. Some turned it into a conspiracy. Canelo was downloading Crawford by working with a switch-hitting, athletic star who can fight both orthodox and southpaw. A Philadelphia voice who knows the Ennis camp well waved it off. Boots and Canelo's people have known each other for years, he said. This isn't new. Canelo has always boxed Philly guys. He did it before he fought Floyd. Sparring helps. It can mimic certain rhythms. But the Philly message was simple. Fights aren't won in sparring. They're won under lights, under pressure, against a man who won't go home until someone finds a way to force him there. Boots can simulate some looks. He cannot simulate Terrence Crawford's exact brain. Crawford on knockouts. The unseen shot ends a night. Crawford himself has a simple philosophy on finishes. It doesn't take a big punch to knock somebody out, he said. It's the ones you don't see that hurt you. He says when he loads up, he misses, or the opponent sees it and braces. It's the shots that just flow, that end men. That explains something about how he knocks fighters out. Not with cartoon haymakers, but with angles, feints, and strikes you curse yourself for not seeing. Marcus Brown's insight. Bigger men are not a shock to the system. Marcus Brown, a man who knows what it is to move up, gave a practical read. I'm going with Crawford, he said. He's always sparred big guys. The point lands quietly but decisively. Lots of great boxers center their camps around people their size. Crawford has never been that guy. He spars bigger men often, some with heavyweight frames, and learns to responsibly absorb heavy shots in a controlled environment. If Canelo lands a Sunday punch, Brown argues, Crawford won't be riled away some smaller men or when they feel a different kind of power for first time. He only has to reach the shore of his own rhythm. And then it's a different fight. Victor Ortiz, the business is big. The result favors Bud. Victor Ortiz checked both boxes, commerce and competition. He believes this fight will be huge on pay-per-view. Casual fans know Canelo Alvarez. Hardcore fans know them both. Crawford's star has never been brighter. Ortiz also picks Crawford to win an easy fight, in his words, because he believes size is overstated here. He says Crawford and he are both 5'9", and that Canelo isn't actually much bigger physically, aside from thicker legs. What matters, Ortiz insists, is who is smarter on the night. Canelo's size, adaptability, and the dangerous math of 168. This is where the opposing argument sits and must be respected. Critics of the Crawford pick warn that moving from 147 pounds to 168 for a man Crawford's age and profile is dangerous territory. Canelo Alvarez has fought and beaten champions who are naturally bigger and stronger. He is patient, understands body placement, fades less experienced men late, and commits to the body with a kind of bad intention that saps movement. The skeptics repeat a warning phrase. Weight classes exist for a reason. They point to images of Crawford on the scale off camp. One viral clip showed him at 186 pounds in the gym, and wonder whether adding that much mass can be converted into useful fight night muscle without sacrificing reflex and gas tank. Others push back, noting that walk-around weight isn't fight weight, that the number means little in isolation, and that Crawford's team has made this jump with the kind of meticulous planning that has defined his career. Amir Khan, the body, the brain, and the clock. Amir Khan has lived at elite speed in big fights. He looks at Crawford versus Canelo and circles one thing: long-term damage building to short-term payoff. He recalls how Crawford took Errol Spence apart with precise bodywork, how the pace and accuracy wore a proud champion down. People underestimate how skill can overcome size, Khan said. Crawford dictates pace, frustrates you into errors, and punishes you for them. Khan acknowledges the risk. You've never seen Crawford truly under extended pressure, and this might be the first time, but he backs the tools he's seen since they were kids crossing paths at Midwestern tournaments. Face-off psychology, the shove-herd round social. When social clips surfaced of Crawford pushing Canelo during a face-off, analysts saw more than theater. Showbiz the adult, one of combat sports' sharper commentators, called it a deliberate move to set tone, an early declaration that Crawford is not coming up for a handshake and a souvenir photo. He's coming up to win. Psychological warfare matters at this level. It isn't about fake aggression. It's about telling a champion you won't be the man who concedes pressure before a punch is thrown. What about styles at 168? Can Crawford stick and move all night? A fair question arose as the numbers firmed up. Can Crawford box on the outside in a bigger body without sacrificing the thing that makes his style work? Amir Khan thinks so. Small steps, he said. Slow movements. It's always worked for him. We haven't seen him truly force a fight an entire 12 rounds backing up and dodging in a heavier frame. That unknown sits at the center of the fight. If Crawford can keep the space measured, inch by inch with a southpaw jab, a right-hand check hook, and a slide step Canelo can't catch, he can bleed rounds his direction without risking as much inside. If he can't, Canelo's tight. Patient pressure will start to pinch. Andy Lee's verdict, not too small, filled out right, a great fight. Andy Lee, a fighter's analyst, closed the loop by rejecting the idea that Crawford is too small, as if size alone can win a fight of this caliber. He doesn't look too small anymore, Lee said after seeing Crawford in person. He's filled out a lot, looks quite big. He sees a fight that represents the sport at its best, skill versus power, speed versus strength, and believes the matchup is closer than the weight on the tail of the tape suggests. In Lee's view, both men are deeply accomplished. It's a matter of whose plan shows up first and bites harder. Risk and reward, business and legacy.